remove the wheel, use a 21mm socket. If you have a locking lug nut, you want to take that off before on the ground by hand, and take the other lug nuts off. Remove the wheel. Now we'll take this cotter pin out right here for the tie rod. Just use some pliers or some type of side cutters. So sometimes cotter pins just don't work out the way you want them to. You're just gonna have to break off one of the ends. Just like that. And then you can try drilling it out if that works for you. Or sometimes just putting a socket on and zinging it off will work as well. Use a 17mm socket. Take this nut off. Before we pop the tie rod out, we're going to loosen up the jam nut. Use a 7/8 wrench or a 22mm wrench. Loosen that up. You can try to loosen up the tie rod from the knuckle by hammering right on this part of the knuckle. It's just not that safe. You could damage the knuckle, and if you hammer it from underneath there, you could damage the threads. So if you use a tool like this, you won't damage the boot or the threads. And just tighten this up. And it'll just pop like that. Take some locking pliers or a wrench that'll fit on that inner tie rod, and then if you use a 13/16 wrench on this tie rod or a 21, and just loosen up the tie rod. It's a good idea to count the turns when you're doing this, so that when you put it back together, it's close. You're still going to need an alignment afterwards, but it'll be closer. Now install the outer tie rod in and count the threads going on. Put it in the same spot it was when you took it off. And we can move the jam nut closer. Line the knuckle up. Slide that in position. Put the nut on. And use a 19mm ratchet wrench. Tighten this up. Once the stud starts spinning, you can use an Allen to prevent it from spinning. If it does start spinning, this one did not. And torque that to 36 foot-pounds. And you can take a 24mm wrench and tighten up the jam nut. If you can fit a torque wrench on there, torque that to 56 foot-pounds. Put the wheel up. And put the lug nuts on. Now torque the lug nuts to 77 foot-pounds in a cross pattern to tighten the wheel down evenly. Just go around again, double check. After you've done this job, make sure you bring the vehicle to a local shop to have it aligned. You don't want to have premature tire wear.